All right, how you guys doing today? So today, not gonna be reading the chapter, but I do just want to talk about something that happened to me today. So yesterday, if you watched the video on Luke 21, you noticed I mentioned I couldn't buy my French book, but I'm not gonna worry. I'm just gonna give it to God, right? Because if I give it to God, I shouldn't worry, and I shouldn't worry in general because I have faith in God that He'll provide everything I need. And in that example, I gave another example of imagine you're in a class and there's the final and there's spring break, and some people are going to drop out of that class, kind of representing like leaving the faith, is how I put it. And today I'm thinking maybe I should just resign in French. I was doing my assignment last night and I realized I don't understand these words. Like every other word I'm having to translate to understand this text, and then I have to answer questions on it. And I realized that if I was going to go word by word to translate this text, it was going to take me about 2 hours to do, and then probably another half an hour to an hour to do these questions. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't have the time to dedicate to this class. Also, next video or this video, I don't know yet, but I'm gonna add a right counter, because the amount of times that I say right in these videos, like I'm editing in every end of in the end of every sentence, I'm just like, right? Like, bro, it's actually annoying to my ears. And I try to cut most of them out. Some of them I'm like, it kind of fits here. Most of them just like, this is dumb. Right now. Like, it's so repetitive. I cut most of them out, so maybe you guys don't notice, but like, dang, I noticed. But I'm thinking I don't have the energy or the time to dedicate to this class the amount that I would like to, right? I already did it again because I'm just taking it for fun. I want to be fluent in some other language other than English so that I can pass it down to my kids. And that's the only reason I'm taking it, is because I want to be fluent in another language so I can pass it down to my kids. Right now, if all things go well, my partner will also. I've been around so many woke people that my brain keeps saying partner. If my future wife, because it's not going to be nothing else, right? It's not going to be nothing else. She's going to be a woman of God. Now, if all things work out, my future wife will also be fluent in French. Now, I won't be mad if she's fluent in something else, because then I can try to learn that. She can speak it around our kids and they can learn that language and be cool, right? Because I'm doing it just for the fact that, one, it's kind of like a dual culture thing, and two, it's just like learning another language kind of makes you smarter if you're learning it as a kid. Like, it builds more neural pathways in your brain or something like that, right? So anyway, I'm taking this class for fun, and I'm thinking I don't have the time, energy, and I can't buy the book, so I might as well just resign the class. So I go to the office hours today and I tell him, because I want to let him know that I wasn't going to do that homework, because it wasn't going to happen unless I cut into my time sleeping. And on the days that I go to his office hours, I like to get up early, go to the gym beforehand, get a protein shake, and then go to his office hours. So if I cut my sleep, then I'd have to go to the gym later, meaning it'd be more packed, and it just kind of ruins my whole day and throws off my vibe. So I go to his office hours. He asks me, did I do the homework? I say, nope. And he's like, why? And so I kind of just start giving him the breakdown of how I'm feeling right now. I'm like, I'm thinking I want to resign this class. I'm thinking I don't have the time, the energy. I don't know how the grading system works, and my skills aren't high enough for when we're going to be doing these assignments. And the grades I'm getting aren't going to be reflecting the actual knowledge that I have. Not of the language, but like overall GPA wise. So when I go to start applying for master's school, and when I go start applying for jobs, they don't look at my grades and say, huh, why is this like this, right? They're going to look at the overall GPA. They're not going to look at each individual class. They're not going to look at my class load and think, oh, he was just doing bad in French. Let's give him this job, right? No, they're going to look at the overall grade. Like last semester, I got an A-, and that class wasn't beneficial to my learning at all. Like, we barely did anything in that class. I remember most of it was kind of a game with us in that class of, can we finesse the teacher into watching a movie in French and call it class? And that worked a good few times. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'd say at least 4 classes were spent watching some video, movie, cartoon in French, and that was a learning experience for us. And I'm even telling him this because some of the people that were in that class with me are in this class that we're in now, plus a whole bunch of other people that I don't know. And I was telling him, I don't know if these people come from a different class or whatever, or they just kind of started school and their knowledge is up here to be in this class. And I'm telling him, I'm like, the girl that sits behind me, her mom's a native speaker, so she can do everything fluently conversation-wise. She just can't write. But she's in this class, and every time you ask a question, she knows exactly what's going on. And everyone coming from my class is either they were learning it in high school and came to get like a refresher and didn't get that refresher, or they're like me and did 101 and 102, had a very great experience and wanted to continue, and then it kind of dropped off and my knowledge plateaued, if not sunk, right? And as I'm telling him this, my example from yesterday about the dropping out of the class, like leaving the faith, is kind of like in my mind a little bit. I'm like, okay, am I now that guy that I was kind of joking about yesterday? And I think he could sense the sincerity with which I spoke. And he was like, okay, the thing is, he didn't say this, but I understood what he said. It was like, with language, you shouldn't be graded at the beginning, right? Because as you build up in language, your skills get better and better. And obviously the point of taking a language class is so that you're good enough at the end of it to progress to the next level. So the grade that you're going to get at the beginning, if you don't understand at the beginning, that really shouldn't hinder your ability to move on to the next level, because it should really only be counted at what you know at the end, because that'll determine how well you're going to do at the next level, and if you should go to the next level is the result of you moving up. And I told him, I'm like, when it comes down to stuff like this, I have a very I can do it mindset. If I put in the time and the effort, I can learn this and I can get good at it, but I don't know if I have the time. And if I do have the time, it's going to take away time from other things, which it'll work itself out. God will make sure that I have rest in my days, right? Sleep, I will love. Eating, I will love. Other than that, it doesn't have to be sunshine and rainbows, but as long as I can sleep and eat, I'll be happy. So he's telling me, it doesn't matter. I'm available. You can send me emails. I have office hours 2 times a week, technically 3 times. If you want to show up for the office hours in my other class, because nobody's shown up there yet. They'll start showing up when it's test time, but you can come there too. And I told him, I was like, I could sense it's going to be hard from the first day. And I asked him when his office hours were 3 times, because I asked, he kind of like laughed, like, look at this guy asking where the office hours are. And then somebody else asked a question, and I asked again, and everybody else started laughing, like, oh, you're really persistent, huh? And then the third time, he finally said something. So he could tell that I really wanted to work at it and actually get good at it. And he's telling me, he's like, I'm available, come with questions. I'm teaching you guys this, but I also didn't know that this was how you guys were taught last semester, and I don't understand the way you want to learn, and I don't agree with this way of learning, and the grades shouldn't be what they are, and the grades shouldn't be what you're worried about, because I'm gonna take into consideration other things, like you're learning, you're progressing, you're gonna make mistakes. That's how you learn. And I'm like, yes, part of the reason I did so well is because I made mistakes, and the mistakes helped me foster learning. And I was just worried about how I'm gonna learn, because if I'm looking at this text and I don't know the words, it's gonna suck, and I'm not gonna feel like I'm learning. I can't really make a mistake while reading a text. It's just gonna be, okay, I read this text, here are the words I don't know, I know them now, or whatever. And he told me, he's like, write down the words you don't know, and then the meanings, and then come to me and make sure that they're cool. And then I guarantee you those words will show up in some of the next readings. And he said, even in English, I could give you an article and you're not going to know all the words. You're not going to be perfect. And then I could give you another article, and there'll probably be some of the words you didn't know in that first one that are in that second one that you can look back and say, oh, I know those now. And if you don't, you'll have them written down, or you remember a little bit of it. It's where you're like, I remember that word. And then you're building those neural connections in your brain. See how we came full circle with that? But it's not even done yet. That was only like a semicircle. You feel me? That's the circle in the bigger circle. So as he's telling me this in my head, I really like this, because it made me so happy to think about that God said it's going to be okay, and it's all going to be okay. Because in my head, I'm thinking, okay, God said not to worry, and now he's telling me not to worry, but I'm relating all this to my faith at the same time as he's speaking it to me. It was about like 9 hours ago, so I don't remember word for word, bar for bar, flow for flow, but but I remember thinking, if I was having a conversation with God about my faith and about my stumbling and anxieties with my sin, this is probably how that conversation would go. He would ask about my previous experiences and how it got to that point and why it got to that point, and then tell me that he's available. The office hours, that's your prayer time. He's available. He's listening to you. He's hearing you. He's helping you. But then outside of class, you got to read the text and you got to come back with more questions. Right? Hold on now. And you got to come back with more questions. And he's not going to give you all the answers, because you can't have all the answers, right? That's not how you learn. You got to make mistakes. Now, I'm not saying he's not going to give you the answers if you ask, but at the same time, you can't get all the answers at once. You have to make mistakes and come back with more questions so you can get closer and closer. Whew. I'm spitting. That's crazy. And how he said the mistakes you make at the beginning, they shouldn't be weighed as heavily as what you do at the end, right? Because we're all going to make mistakes. That's part of the learning process. We're all going to sin. Nobody's perfect, right? And what you do at the beginning and making mistakes and learning and slowly getting better and better, and once you get to the end, that's going to determine your grade, right? The accumulation of the amount of mistakes you made, how many times you fixed those mistakes and learned, how many questions you asked, and what you rectified and what you repented for. And you took those mistakes, you flipped them on their head. They're not mistakes anymore. It's like saying, all right, if I'm walking blindfolded in my room, one end to the other, I walk to one side, then I walk back. As I walk, I'm going to realize I trip over the first thing. Oh, that's there 2 steps in. Step to the right and then step back to the left, and it's a smooth walk. Because you made that mistake and you fixed it. You sinned and you repented. You realized that it was wrong, it's a mistake, and you moved past it. You went to office hours, prayer time, you prayed about it, you read the book outside of it, you came with your questions to your prayers, and boom, you met up with classmates, Bible study, fellowship, and they told you what their answers were, and you fixed that mistake, that misconception that you had in your own head. You just have to put the time in and the effort. It's not hard when you try, and you shouldn't worry about it, because if you put the time and you put the effort in, it's all going to be okay. You come with those questions, you put the effort in. That's all it really comes down to. You put the effort in. You show up to office hours, you ask your questions, you fix your mistakes. He's not going to worry about what happened. He's not going to worry about you back then, other than maybe seeing how you got to progress in the future. He's not going to worry about those past sins. He's going to worry about where you got to. When you have a conviction in your heart, you write it down. You bring it to the office hours. You write it down. You pray about it. You read the book outside of class. You get the information of what you don't know, and then you pray about it. It's that simple. And then that's when I realized it's all clicked to me in that span of having that conversation with him. And I'm sitting there as he's speaking. I'm like, this is a divine interaction. Like, I'm sitting there thinking, God is really in everybody. Because this was really just like, I don't want to say the gospel in a parable, but it's a great freaking example of what faith it looks like in this day and age. I think that's literally tit for tat what you could say about, learning and growing in your faith and avoiding sins, right? Because that's the only way we're saved. We walk in the light as he is walking in the light. You have to turn from sin. You can't keep doing the things you want to do. You can't keep making the mistakes you want to make, or guess what your grade's going to be? If you just sit there and think, oh, I can read this text, not know what it means, and keep it pushing, and you answer the question based on what you think they are because you don't understand them, you're going to be wrong. You're not going to get a good grade, and you're not going to pass the class. We all know what passing the class and failing the class means. Passing the class is going to get you to heaven. Failing the class, you're going down somewhere you're not trying to be. If you're watching this video, at least. So do you want to pass your class? Do you want to see your mistakes? Go to office hours, read the text and find your own questions. Go to a little study group, fellowship, go to office hours, prayer time. And do you want to pass this class and make it to heaven? Or do you want to keep tripping over the same mistakes you keep making, not worrying about them, and end up failing the class and going to hell? That's the choice you got to make. And that's where it comes full circle, based off getting the half circle and then full circle with the example I gave yesterday. This wasn't even planned. See how God be working? This wasn't even planned. I gave that example about failing out of the class, making it the summer break, the finals. I gave that all yesterday, right? It's a whole new day. It's a whole new experience. It may look like the same day. I'm in the same shirt technically. This is a different shirt. It's not the same shirt. It's a different plain black shirt. Because God said, don't worry about what you wear. So I got a pack of plain black shirts, and I was like, all right, I really ain't going to worry. Plus, I think I look good, and it accentuates my shoulders. You know what I'm saying? But then I got on a lighter note story. I can make that into another video. I think I'll do another video on that one. But I think it's a whole different topic. It's not, based off what you do in sin. It's based more on forgiveness. And I think that's a fantastic lesson everyone needs to learn. I wouldn't say it's as crazy as, tripping over your mistakes and making more sins. Because guess what? If you love your neighbor as yourself, the greatest commandment, you're going to forgive anyway. Don't you want to be forgiven? Forgive others, and the Lord in heaven will forgive you, right? That's what we're told. So I feel like it's not as urgent as a post to make. Plus, I don't really know if the topic material that I have stored in my brain of the story that I'm gonna give with it is long enough to make an actual video. So we'll see later. That's why I'm thinking, do I want to throw it at the end of this video, or do I just want to keep it for its own video? Maybe before we read the next chapter, we shall see. But nevertheless, I love you guys. All right, that's gonna be the end of my story. Hope you guys have yourselves a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.